What's up everyone, Darcblade here with another episode in my Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer class guide series. In this episode we are going to be taking a look at the first Dragon Slayer DLC character, the rogue who can take the hits, the Duelist. Now remember, these builds are for the harder difficulties in the game, mainly perilous. They are also for level 20 characters. They call her the Queen of the Eastern Seas, and with good reason. Isabela thrived amongst the dangerous double-dealing raiders of the Felishima Armada by becoming more dangerous and more duplicitous than any of them. Seeking profit or possibly pleasure, the crafty sea captain has forged a tenuous alliance with the Inquisition. While some may look upon Isabela as a valuable asset, others believe that it is only a matter of time before the arrangement loses its novelty and she escapes, laughing into the night, trailing gold stolen from the Inquisition's coffers. Now moving on to the heart of the episode. Now before moving into the abilities, I need to go over two aspects of the Duelist that are unique to her. She has two resources that she uses, vendetta and elusiveness. Vendetta is a mark that you put on foes via certain abilities. You can tell when a foe has a vendetta mark on them via the skull and crossbones above their head. If a foe with vendetta is hit with other certain abilities, it will create a elusive point, represented by a pirate coin above the Duelist's health bar. These elusive coins serve mainly as a resource to allow the Duelist to avoid taking damage. Each hit against her will take away one coin rather than some of her health. Sometimes the elusive points can also be used to power up certain abilities at the cost of the coins. So as you can see, her gameplay will be based around marking people with vendetta in order to create elusive coins in order to take damage and survive. Now I start by taking the following must-have abilities. First I take Flashing Steel and its upgrade Weak Spot. With this ability, Isabela will lash out around her with both daggers, hitting all foes in melee range. It deals 300% weapon damage, costs 35 stamina and comes with a 10-second base cooldown. Flashing Steel also allows you to create one elusive point or coin for each vendetta target it hits. This, however, will remove the vendetta debuff from targets. Its upgrade Weak Spot reduces the cost of the ability and increases its damage against each target that has a vendetta mark on them. The cost reduction is 10 stamina and the damage bonus is 200%. This ability is a great way to do some nice AoE damage along with generating elusive coins. It works even better when you can mark multiple foes with vendetta before using it. Its pros are that it does fairly high damage, is a nice AoE move and creates elusive coins. The cons, however, is that in the heat of battle a 10-second cooldown is a little bit long, and you also have to mark multiple targets with vendetta to get more than one elusive coin with this ability. For the second must-have ability, I take Bolt and its upgrade Hot Streak. With this ability, Isabela will fire a quick shot from her crossbow, which will also place a vendetta mark on foes it strikes. The target marked with the vendetta takes 10% additional damage. The bolt also deals 200% weapon damage and costs 15 stamina to use. Its upgrade Hot Streak will allow any critical hit with the bolt to grant your next ability an automatic critical hit. Bolt is a bread and butter ability when it comes to marking foes with a vendetta mark. Vendetta marks are key to generating elusive coins. Bolt is a ranged attack and has a far reach, so with this in mind you want to be marking as many foes as you can before you get into melee range with them. The pros for this ability are that it can be used to put vendetta marks on foes. It can be used at ranged, and because of its low stamina cost and no cooldown for using the ability, it can be used multiple times to attack at range, as long as you have stamina. Its cons though is that it is not very hard hitting, and it only marks one foe at a time. Breaking the formula here a little bit, I'm going to include a third must-have ability. For the third choice I go with Flank Attack, and its upgrade Astern. This is slightly different from the usual flank attack found on other rogues. With this ability, the Duelist will leap through the shadows and attack foes with a deadly strike that hits them from behind. It deals 2 hits at 200% weapon damage per hit. It comes with an 8-second base cooldown and costs 35 stamina to use. Its upgrade Astern is what makes this ability a must-have. With this upgrade, the flank attack now consumes any vendetta marks on a target and grants you 2 stacks of elusive. This allows you to generate a lot of elusive coins, especially when facing single targets. The pros for this ability is that it can generate more elusive coins than any other single target ability, which adds to your survivability. Its cons though is that it is not the hardest hitting ability out there. Now for the optional ability, you have a few choices. You can either go with Swashbuckle and its upgrade Darren Speed. This is a hard hitting single target move that consumes all stacks of elusive to unleash a flurry of dagger attacks on a foe. Each stack of elusive adds an additional strike to the ability, so you can potentially hit up to 4 times, with each hit dealing around 700% weapon damage. Its upgrade, Darren Speed, increases your attack speed for each stack of elusive used. You gain 5% attack speed per elusive coin. It will also last for 10 seconds. So as you can see, this is an amazing damage dealing ability. However, it should be used wisely, as it will drain you of your main defense, your elusive coin points. Its pros are its really high single target damage, able to bring down almost any foe. However, its cons are that it does use your main source of defense, your elusive points. For the other ability, I will sometimes take Broadsides and its upgrade Cross the T. For this ability, Isabela will fire a bolt that hits all enemies around your initial target with crossbow bolts, placing a vendetta mark on every distant secondary target. It will also knock down the initial target if they are a weaker foe. Again, like with Bolt, marked vendetta targets take 10% additional damage, and this vendetta application to secondary targets is over 10 meters. The damage from the broadsides is 550% weapon damage over 5 meters. It also costs 35 stamina and comes with an 18-second cooldown. Its upgrade, Cross the T, allows the broadsides to do additional damage and weaken all enemies it hits. The extra damage is 150% weapon damage, and the weaken effect lasts for 6 seconds. Weakened foes deal less damage to you and your team. So this ability is a ranged option. It deals okay damage and knocks the initial target off its feet. Great for interrupting. However, I primarily take this to mark multiple targets. The pros for this ability is its AoE damage, ability to mark multiple foes with vendetta, and its range. However, its cons are that it does not mark your initial target, so you need to make sure to use Bolt before or after firing the broadsides. It also comes with a fairly long cooldown. Now normally I would talk about the defensive ability here, but you don't really have to take one, as your elusive coins are your main defense. So moving on to the passives, I will first go over the mandatory ones you need to take for this build to work. Passives also give your base stats an increase. For the Duelist, you have Dexterity, that increases your attack and critical damage bonus, Cunning, that increases your crit chance and range defenses, and Constitution, that increases your health and melee defenses. None of her passives though give her willpower, that would normally increase your attack and magical defenses. For the first passive in the Step Smartly tree, I take Dead in the Water, that makes enemies who attempt to hit you while you have at least one stack of elusive weakened. This will last for 6 seconds. It also gives you +3 Constitution. Next is Look But Don't Touch. While you have at least one stack of elusive, you are unaffected by damage over time effects. It also adds +3 Constitution. Next is Hoist the Mainsail. This will allow your movement speed to increase with each stack of elusive you have. This effect is 10% per stack. It also adds +3 Dexterity. Lastly, in the Step Smartly tree is Naturally Evasive, which increases your maximum amount of elusive points you can have, up to a maximum of 4. It also adds +3 Cunning. Now for the No Quarter tree, I start with Unforgiven Chain, which allows each strike to add to your critical chance, but after a critical hit, the chain resets. It increases by 1% with each hit you do. It also adds +3 Dexterity. Next is Look Like It Hurt. This allows every critical hit to restore stamina. Each crit is 10 stamina restored. It also adds +3 Cunning. Next is Crow's Nest Lookout, which increases critical hit damage, especially against distant foes. Normally it would be 50%, but against foes that are more than 10 meters away from you, it's 100%. It also adds +3 Dexterity. Next is Dead Men Tell No Tales. This allows foes who die while marked with a vendetta mark to spread the mark to nearby foes up to 8 meters away. Remember, the mark won't pass on if the foe is killed by an ability that consumes the vendetta mark. It also grants you +3 cunning. Next is Kirkwall Kiss. This allows your active cooldowns to be reduced each time you deal damage to an enemy marked with a vendetta mark. It also grants you +3 dexterity. Next is Black Mark, which allows foes marked with a vendetta to take additional damage from all sources. This damage bonus is 10%. It will also give you +3 cunning. This will leave you with 2 points to spare. I like to spend them in the no quarter tree. On Salty Sea Dog, that increases your defenses by 5% and stamina regeneration by 25% for each enemy that are within 5 meters of you. It also gives you +3 constitution. And lastly, I like to take Savvy. This allows each crossbow ability to increase the damage of your next dagger ability and vice versa. The damage bonus is 20% and can stack up to 5 times. It also grants you +3 dexterity. Now the rotation of abilities I use on the Duelist starts by marking the target with a vendetta mark, with either bolt or broadsides. After I move in with flank and attack to generate stacks of elusive, after which I use bolt or broadsides again to re-vendetta mark the target and follow it up with flashing steel. In between all this I will be using auto attacks. I also try to combine crossbow attacks followed by dagger attacks and so on, but sometimes this doesn't always work out. Sometimes when faced with lots of foes, it's best to keep your distance and mark multiple foes with vendetta marks via bolt or broadside abilities before charging in. This means that if you need to quickly regain elusive marks, there will be a lot of targets with vendetta marks on to pick from. This also works well if you're running with the swashbuckle ability. As for leveling up, I would head straight for Kirkwall Kiss and Dead Men Tell No Tales. This will mean you are level 7 and give you access to the broadsides ability. Next, head for Flank Attack and its upgrade, which should make you level 10, after which head down to Naturally Evasive, which should make you level 14 and give you access to Swashbuckler if you prefer that ability. Next, take Black Mark at level 15, then upgrade Flashing Steel and either the broadsides or Swashbuckle depending on which ability you want to use. This should make you level 17. Lastly, take Salty Sea Dog, Savvy and upgrade Bolt, making you level 20. Overall, Isabela the Duelist is a unique rogue. She is able to take a lot of punishment thanks to the elusive mechanics she has. She is also capable of dishing out a fair bit of damage, both in close quarters and at range. She is a mixed bag, a bit of a jack of all trades, allowing her to adapt to the challenges players face in the multiplayer. The only aspect she can't do well is hold aggro like tanks can, but that's not a bad thing. If a duelist is on your team, then they should not need a lot of looking after, as they can normally hold their own. She is a great character for the harder difficulties thanks to her diverse range of abilities and her awesome elusive defense mechanic. Anyway, I've been Darcblade, bringing you my guide to the Duelist in Dragon Age Inquisition's multiplayer. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.